want to welcome everybody here. My name is Rosemary, and this is Tina, and on behalf of the Granny Brigade, we would like to welcome the candidates and the audience for participating tonight. And before we get started, we will do the flag salute, and then Pastor Farber will lead us in prayer. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Lord, we love you. Lord, we're so grateful for the many, many blessings that you put into our life. Lord, I'm thankful for these who are standing in front of us tonight, that their willingness to serve our community. I pray that you'll give them wisdom. I pray that you'll give us wisdom as we cast our vote in a few weeks. Lord, may everything that takes place tonight and in the future here in our county be in your will and in your plan. May we be surrendered to you. Bless us tonight. Help us to have a good time, and I pray that everything will be honoring. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Before we start, make sure everybody silence their phone, please. And then if you did not get a card and a pen when you come in to write questions, because we don't take questions from the floor, you'll write your questions out for your candidates. And if you want to ask more than one candidate a question, put it all on one card. You can fill out the back, and if you need more cards, the girls will get you some more cards. If you didn't get a card, raise your hand and the girls will bring some cards by. And I will have Chad Farber, which is our moderator. He will introduce the candidates, or have them introduce themselves. And Chad will ask a few questions. And while you guys are writing down your questions, it'll give you time to do that while Chad is interviewing the candidates. And Carol and Carolee will be our timekeepers. And I'll let Chad tell you how the form's going to go.
I see that they gave these guys microphones and knew I had a big mouth, so I don't need a microphone. Although I've listened to some of you may not need the microphones up here. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks you to all the candidates who are here. Obviously, our state representatives are in a special session right now, so they were unable to be here, but I trust that we're keeping abreast of the situation there in Topeka, and I would say pray for wisdom for these guys as well. They've got a lot of decisions during this special session. The format for tonight, this is more for you guys' information. We're going to give everybody 3 minutes to introduce themselves. After that, we'll take questions, and we have some some cards that have been filled out with questions. And here's going to be the fun part. You get a 1-minute response time for those questions, and hopefully we're going to be able to get a lot of crowd input and citizen input on those questions. Some of the questions will apply to some offices and not apply to others, so we'll specify which ones those are. And time permitting, at the end, I will also give you a time for closing remarks, and we'll give 3 minutes for that as well. So I hope you guys are ready for the hard questions, the tough questions, right?
Yes.
One of them is ready for the tough questions tonight. We'll see how that goes. We're going to start over here on my left. My left, the fellow who dressed like me tonight for some reason. And the first two candidates that we have here, Tony and Jamie Doss, both of them are running unopposed in this primary right now. And I want to give them, we'll start on that end and we'll move right down the line. 3 minutes for your opening statements.
Awesome, very good. Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. As Chad said, my name is Tony Newell. I am the sole candidate. Thank you, Counselor. Sole candidate for county treasurer. I've been with the county for starting my 4th year. I currently work in the treasurer's office as an accounting technician. Before that, I worked in the tag office for a year. Before that, I had a 24-year career in retail, doing different things from managing stores to setting up stores. Worked myself up from a cart pusher at the age of 16 up into running $100 million supercenters when I left the company in 2021. Left the company in 2021 to help care for my father, who had taken ill. After that, Jim picked me up and I've been at the treasurer's office in the capacity of either tag office person or accounting technician ever since. If I'm able to secure your trust and your vote, my goal is to continue to grow idle funds and continue to do the good work, continue the good work that Jim has started and done over the last, gosh, how many years? 12 years. So I appreciate your time and thank you for coming out tonight.
Next is an incumbent from the county clerk office, Jamie Doss.
Hi, so I'm Jamie Doss. I am the county clerk currently and running to seek re-election. I have been with the county, I'm in my 27th year. 14 of that I was in the appraiser's office in the last 13 years in the county clerk's office. I was the deputy county clerk before becoming the county clerk when our county clerk retired. I have my master county clerk certification through the state of Kansas and my national certified election administrator through Auburn University. And I grew up in a public service household. My family was in law enforcement. My mom's a juvenile officer. Public service is everything that I know and everything that I love to do. And I want to continue to build on what was done before me, what I've done in the last 13 years, and continue to make our office run smoothly and the elections run smoothly as they have for the last several years. So I want to thank you for being out tonight and welcome any questions.
Candidate for Saline County Attorney, Mr. Richard Buck.
Hello, my name is Richard Buck. I currently serve as the Ottawa County Attorney, and I've done that since March of 2018 when the county attorney at that time stepped down to pursue personal interests. I'm a 2003 graduate of Washburn Law School. I took the bar that July, passed, and been a licensed attorney for 20 years. I started out working for legal services in extreme western Kansas. We covered 21 counties out in northwest Kansas. From there, I went and did a brief year as a public defender in Reno County and decided it wasn't for me. I'm better at putting them away than getting them out of stuff. So opportunity opened up there in the DA's office where I literally moved across the street into the courthouse and took over the juvenile division. I did that for 2.5 years, and then in 2009, the juvenile position in Saline County Attorney's Office opened up, and I applied and moved to Saline and lived in Saline ever since. 2010, I decided to start my own practice. I was in private practice up until I got elected in Ottawa County. The reason I want to be county attorney in Saline County is I've realized, because we're in the same judicial district, Ottawa and Saline, things have not gone well the last few years, and it's going to take somebody that has the experience and knowledge that I do and administrative ability to fix it. As the president, I still live in Saline County. As a resident of Saline County, I'm worried, and I want to see what I can do to help fix it. And even if I don't get elected, if it's John or Sia Huebner, who's the other candidate, I've offered to come in and help them with the database and the software that they have, because I've had it longer than they have. I got it 5 years ago. I think they just adopted it in the last 2 years, and they need some training from what I've seen. Thank you.
Candidate for Saline County Attorney, Mr. John Reynolds.
Good evening, thank you for being here. I've been practicing since 1988. I'm not new to the county because in 1978 I was the deputy sheriff for nowadays over the sheriff's office. And after later went to law school and been here ever since. I've been in private practice for the entire time I've been here, except for one term as a Saline County Commissioner. I'm familiar with the county, I'm familiar with the budgeting process, I'm familiar with the administration process. As a service, for 36 years I've had to please clients in order to make a living. I know what that is and what it takes. I've been on both sides of prosecution and defense. I worked as a city prosecutor at special events to various communities. I've sat as a judge in various communities. I think that breadth of experience gives me everything to be fair and impartial and with plenty of perspective to understand the difference in all of these circumstances. And as far as technical abilities for running software, we can pick that up pretty quick. We do that in private practice every day. I don't have any particular axe to grind. This is an open seat. I'm offering myself to the county, and we'll proceed from there. I've always been active in the community. I've served on various community boards. I've coached youth baseball, softball. I think the worst summer I had was 5th grade girls soccer. But anyway, we've done it all, and we've survived and tell the story. I'm interested in doing this because I'm starting to have great-grandchildren, and this community means a lot to me. So, thank you.
Candidate for the Register of Deeds is Tanya Moran Diaz.
Thank you for inviting me tonight. If you didn't get a chance to meet me last week, I am Tanya Moran Diaz, and I am running for the Saline County Register of Deeds. Last week I was super nervous, as I am tonight as well, so please forgive me for using my notes. A little about myself. My husband and I have been together for 11 years, and I was blessed with 2 boys. I have a bonus son that is almost 20 years old and a 10-year-old son. I have been with Saline County since 2017. I was hired as an intermittent position. Being told that moving up in the office or going full-time was not an option anytime in the future. 8 months later, I became full-time, and ever since I walked into the office, I wanted to grow more. I wanted to learn more, and so I started taking prior classes to continue my education. And in 2020, the deputy at that time, Jane Wilson, who is serving as my treasurer now, decided it was time for her to retire after 28 years. So it is an appointed position, and the Register offered me the appointed position, and I accepted. At that point, the Register knew that she was going to retire, so she started training me for her position. She started sending me to classes and Register of Deeds school seminars, and I went to the deputy school to get my deputy certificate, and attending these classes, I was able to receive 35 K-State credit hours. When you become a Register of Deeds, 36 coursework hours is considered gold in the Register of Deeds world. This also helped me build relationships with other Register of Deeds across Kansas, so if I have issues or I need guidance or support, I can reach out to them comfortably, having that relationship with them. I have been involved in many local events within the community and with Saline County as well. I am a current member of the Saline County Employee Engagement Team, and I previously served as a member of AMBUC's Employee Council and our county website, helping build it from our new current website, where we spent 2 years planning and designing our current website. Thank you for your time, and vote for me August 6th.
Candidate for Saline County Register of Deeds, Michelle Newell.
Okay, let me get my notes in my house. Okay. All right, so kind of a brief overview of what the Register of Deeds office is we are an office that records real estate documents pertaining to real estate. So we record deeds, mortgages, surveys, plats. So our records are available online and in our office. We make them easily accessible. We make sure they're secure. We work with the attorneys, the banks, the title companies, so they can find the information we need. I've been with the office for 18 years. I haven't had the opportunity to go to a lot of the seminars or anything like that, but I have 18 years worth of knowledge up here. I worked there for 15 years. Tony and I moved to Emporia for 2.5 years, and then we came back and I resumed my position in the office, so I've been there 3 years now. So I've learned a lot of things over my 18 years of being in the service. I help the general public, I help title companies, I work with the attorneys. that kind of stuff. So I've kind of been around the whole office. I've done my job, I've done the deputy's job, I've done the recording job. So I've kind of been around the whole office. I got a good feel of everything that goes on. I obviously don't know everything, but I know a lot, and I'm eager to learn more. And I'm willing to work hard for you and work to learn those things, you know, to better serve Saline County. I really don't know really much what else to say. I enjoy what I do. I go to work every day. I get to hear new stories. I get to, you know, help people, and that's my biggest joy is helping people and learning things. And I just hope I can continue to do that for you. And so, yes, so thank you for having me.
Current chairman of the Saline County Commission, running for re-election for District 3.
And to fix that, I am not the current chair. But anyway, Mr. Joe Hay is. But my name is Roger Sparks, and I've been in Salina since 71 as a matter of fact. And I started out here working for a company, and there's very few people in here old enough to remember Jared Electric. And so I worked for there in the engineering and drafting school and for a few years. Then two of the people there started CASA Industrial Controls. So I went to work for them immediately when they started. Did that till 1979. Then I went up to Sabetha, Kansas and opened up a control panel company up for them and worked there till 1981. Moved back, I purchased an engineering supply company that had just went bankruptcy. So I took that over, ran with it for roughly 28 years, and then sold it. I thought I knew a little bit about county running since I had dealt with the counties since 1985 when the reappraisal mapping started. So I'd sold them products in the GIS, the mapping, and all of that. And I really thought I knew a little bit about them and the register of deeds. I'd sold a lot of GIS equipment and plotters and everything. But anyways, but until I got in there as a commissioner 8 years ago, it's like it was a different world. And it reminded me of being on the OCCK board for 16 years. And it took me 2 years really to even figure out how many umbrellas that they have and what happens. And it's the way I feel with the county. It's a lot happening, and there's a lot going on. And I feel like everybody else, it's the county right now. I feel this whole community, we've got to do something to pull it together a little more and take care of some of the issues that are in the city, in the county, everywhere, because we got to provide the roads to get people from out in the country to in the city to go to their job. And it's getting to be more and more where everybody in the whole state is looking for employees. So it's major, the roads have got to be taken care of, the bridges have got to be there to take care of everything. So I am running again because I feel that there's still some things that I'd like to take care of and see if I can help promote and get taken care of. And so I appreciate your vote in August.
I apologize for that clerical error. You
Oh,
look
no problem.
much better than Joe Hay.
Yeah.
We have that on record somewhere.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Candidate for Saline County Commission District 2, Ms. Annie Grievous.
Hi, first I want to say thank you for hosting this and also for all of you coming out. It's a good sized group and it's exciting to be able to speak a little bit. I feel very lucky and blessed to be within a community such as Salina. I've lived here for 37 years. Believe it or not, I graduated from K-State in '87 and this was my first job. Dana Morris hired me. That's how long ago that was. And throughout the years of being a role at Community Corrections, 29 of those as a director, I had the opportunity to go through 5 or 6 administrators and I say 12 dozen commissioners, but it's not that many. But it was a lot, between 3 to 5 and everything that will happen. But it was always an interesting and developing process, and I certainly enjoyed the opportunities that they gave me. I want to talk just a little bit, well, I retired a couple years ago from Community Corrections, and now I'm assistant grant writer for Kansas Wesleyan. So I went from a government entity for 35 years to a nonprofit private organization. And I've written grants for 35 years, and I'm continuing to do that. I talk about how we have to all be fiscally conservative, and we have to watch where those dollars come from and how we spend those dollars, and that we can't just rely on taxpayers' dollars to always cover all the needs that are out there. We have to look for those supplemental fundings. And there are opportunities out there for communities our size, counties our size, small or individual programmings that need those dollars. And I want to be an advocate for those that can get those supplemental fundings without looking for the taxpayer dollars to always be that need. So that was one of the things that excites me about that. I didn't choose to run because I saw the county current commission doing a problem or having a problem. Commissioner Hendrickson's a friend of ours. I didn't have a problem with him. He approached me when he decided not to run, and that's where I decided it would be great to get back into county government. I love the work and excited to do that. As far as leadership, and I think that leadership is really the difference for a lot of us, my goodness, is that I have served as president and campaign chair on United Way, the same with CAPS, and multiple civic organizations within our community. And I also served as a 10-state member of the State Sentencing Commission appointed by the governor. So lots and lots of years of experience as a leader, and I hope to get elected and be able to carry that leadership into the next project. Thank you.
Candidate for Saline County Commission District 2, Ms. Kathleen Malone Crouch.
Good evening, and thank you for being here. My name is Kathleen Malone Crouch, and if you've been seeing my signs around town, they do say at the bottom, choose me. I chose Saline County, Saline County. Well, here's the story. I was in Oklahoma, which was my home, and 16 years ago, I was coordinator of gifted education for a school district with 17,000 students. And I met a man on eHarmony that I started talking to. And after, about 8 months, he asked me to marry him. And I had to really think about it for a while. It took me 4 months to answer him because I had to decide if I wanted to move and change my life and spend the rest of my life in Salina and Saline County. So it's obvious I did because I've been here for almost 15 years. I retired from teaching at that time and intended to stay retired, but my daughter decided to go to seminary, so I went back to work for Saline County. And I went to work for the health department when we were over at the old St. John's Hospital. And I was part of the crew that helped move the health department back into the building that they're currently in. On moving day, as we were carrying furniture in with it at about 110 degrees, pipes burst overhead. There was still mold in the back hall. It's there today. There has been no luck with mitigation. So I watched changes in that building. I watched the change from the city-county health department to the county. And then my job was cut. And I went to work for another department. I went to work for emergency management over in the basement of the police department. And I dealt with the sheriff's office. I actually digitized about 40 years worth of records for the sheriff's office while I was down in emergency management. And then when Hannah then Stambaugh, now Bet, became the deputy director of the county, she asked me if I would move over to planning and zoning and work for emergency management, planning and zoning, and environmental health. So for the last 3.5 years of my time in the county, I worked for 3 different departments. But because of the job that I was doing, I had to work very closely with all of the other departments except community corrections. So I feel that I'm very qualified because of the cross connections that I made. one thing I didn't get to say, that I didn't say at the beginning, is that my dad was in the Army, so I moved around a lot. And I learned to meet people and become parts of communities. So I've been part of this community. I'm on several boards. I've been president of New Network Ambucks. And thank you for being here.
Candidate for the Kansas House of Representatives, 107th District, Mr. Gerald Johnson.
Thank you. Well, thank you for everybody for coming out, and thank you, Candiate Brigade. It may be better if I have this taken away from me. So hopefully everybody can hear me in the back. I usually don't need any help putting my voice out there. But my name is Gerald Johnson. I live in Cloud County, Kansas. I'm a veteran. I'm a father. I have 7 children with my wife. I work as a full-time pastor, and I also hold a full-time job. Why I'm running for office, my campaign motto says it: stand for America, stand for Kansas. A number of things had me alarmed for years at what was going on in our country, and 2 years ago I decided to run against Susan Kincannon, largely because what I stand for in my campaign is constitutional liberties. The job of the government, if you will, is to protect our liberties, to protect the liberties of the citizens, all right? And I don't think our government's been doing that. I think they've been encroaching on our liberties. So I stand for states' rights. I stand for rights of the individual. And the individual has the most right in this country. So I want to take a stand for that, and I intend to do so. 4 basic things that, well, four ways I divide what I stand for is sanctity of life. So I stand for life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and common sense. And within pursuit of happiness, the founding fathers put property ownership, property. We have property rights. So there's a lot that ties into that. Now, my opponent, if you would look her up, she's quick to tell you she's a 6th-generation Kansan. Now, I can't say that. I cannot say that. And I don't want to stand on my forefathers and what they accomplished, but what I say is we stand on what our forefathers accomplished, and we have a lot to be accountable for and be thankful for. I started out on a farm in western Missouri. I enlisted for the Army in late 2001. I got out in 2015 at Fort Riley. I had completed 2 tours in Afghanistan, 28 months there, 12 months in Iraq, in Iraqi freedom, and then 3 years as a drill sergeant. So I got out at Fort Riley. I felt called to be a pastor at the time to preach, and I still do, but I wanted to attend Manhattan Christian College, so when I got out, I stayed in Kansas, completed a degree in biblical leadership, and after that, I got married, moved out to Cloud County, and here we are today. But with my education, I also have a lot of credits from Army War College and leadership, counterinsurgency, as well as strategic planning. And my time is up. Thank you. That flag is what I stand for. That's what it boils down to. All right. We need to preserve that, all the liberties we were given. Thank you.
I have a statement from Dawn Wolf. Is Dawn here tonight?
She's still on the Senate floor.
Still on the floor, and I received the message that she was thinking she was unable to be here tonight, so I wanted to read this from her. Ms. Wolf is running for the 107th District in the Kansas State House as well. And I'm just going to read this word for word. It says, I would like to introduce myself. I am Dawn Wolf, running for the 107th District in the Kansas House. I am not able to attend tonight as I am in Topeka with Senator Elaine Bowers as her guest for the special session. Now, a little bit about myself. I am a native Kansan, and my family homesteaded in this area, so it is very much a part of who I am and is ingrained in my beliefs. I've been married to my husband, Tim, for 43 years. We have 4 children, 3 of whom live in the district, plus 9 wonderful grandchildren. I am currently serving my 6th year as a county commissioner in Ottawa County and have governmental experience to guide me as I seek this new office. I have been in education for 20 years. Children are the backbone of our future, and I have not taken this responsibility lightly. I am, and always have been, a Republican. I previously served as a supervising judge of elections in my area for many years. Election integrity is paramount to keeping our democracy free and of the people. As a land and a homeowner, I believe in property rights for those that work hard to pay for and own property, previously serving on the Ottawa County Planning and Zoning Board to protect those rights. I am pro-family, pro-life, and advocate for local control for our safety and security, with each community having their own needs that often can but should not be legislated at the state level. I cannot conclude without saying that I am also pro-ag, and in this area we depend on the farmers to keep our economy strong and our food supplies safe. I will fight for Kansans and work to control our taxes so that families can thrive in our state. I would love to be your voice in Topeka as the 107th District Representative in the great state of Kansas. Thank you, Don Wolf. By the way, we're supposed to be getting questions filled out on cards. If you have not filled one of those out, you can get a card from the back. The ladies back there, find anybody in a black t-shirt with Granny Brigade on it, and they'll give you a card. And if you'll fill those out, we'll get those questions up here. While you're getting all of those filled out, I'll introduce a question or two to our panel. And the first one, we got the microphone way down here. Wonderful. We'll start on this end. How's that sound? You've had a long break since last time we talked. I know this is going to be a little bit different for the incumbents that are up here, but what is one major objective for you running for your position, and what would you change about the current position?
Well, life. I would protect life in Kansas, and that in every way, all the freedoms that goes with life, protecting life, the life of the unborn, protecting children from harm in schools, protecting a person's individual rights. Approach them.
Thank you. Ms. Crouch, same question. I believe that microphone is off if you want to turn it back on. We didn't need it for him, that pastor voice, you know, it gets going.
Would you repeat the question, please?
What is one objective that you would change or you see an issue with the current place where you are running?
I really don't see an issue with the current county commission and administration. I really like the way that the direction that they have been going. There have been a lot of improvements made to bring the county into the 21st century, but I think there are some further things to be done, including new housing for the health department. That is, I think, one of our top priorities, and I know the county is right now looking at all of the spaces that they have to see what can be done to make changes to accommodate everyone. The new jail has been wonderful for the sheriff's office, but there are still other departments that need some shuffling around because they're cramped. Annie's nodding, she knows.
Thank you. Ms. Reed?
I would agree with Kathleen that the jail was a huge thing, and I was on the jail committee, so I got to start from the bottom and work the way up. And as a part of that jail, it wasn't just for expansion, it was to offer services so that the clients that come in go out better. Mental health, substance abuse, those options are in that jail, which is across the nation. All those services are in jails. We want to make a difference. You don't want the same person that's going in to come out the same way. So I would say that I agree the health department needs a new building, needs somewhere that'll grow space for that. They've always been cramped since 1987 when I started, and it's not changed. One of the things I love is Phil Smith-Haynes is very innovative and has brought this county up with the commissioners, and I think that's great. One of the things I'd like to not necessarily improve, but bring to is annual budgets. Very, very familiar with working on the budgets and working within the county budget, and also regular audits.
Mr. Sparks, is a little different for you. You are currently serving there. What's one direction you would like to move forward?
It's hard, and as this was going down through, I'm thinking, the one thing that would be really interesting is to put out a letter to find out from the people out here is what can we live with and what can we live without. I mean, we have the new jail, but being on the board of community corrections, being on the board now at Central Kansas Mental Health, we got the senior center. We have a lot of things going on, and where do you start and stop? I mean, we just can't continue to keep funding everybody's needs all the time. I mean, we got to look and find methods and way, but Philip Smith Haynes has done a fabulous job on getting that. And I want to say, one of the best things that Saline County ever did is go from 3 to 5 county commissioners, because it's great that there's 5 on board.
Ms. Newell, I know you're in the office now. What's something that you would like to see made better in the office?
Well, not necessarily better. Our office runs pretty well. I just would like to continue to grow the foundation that's been laid out already. Finding ways to, I guess, be more efficient would be one thing that we could work on. We're pretty efficient, so it's gonna take a little bit to figure out how to do all that, but, we don't really have any issues. I mean, we're bound by statutes, a lot of it, so we don't have a lot of wiggle room as, what we can and can't do. But just to continue to learn and grow, and, that's about all I can do, and I'll work hard and continue to do that.
Same question.
Being the current deputy, I get to do payroll and timesheets, and our system is CIC. It's not something that our office can change because it's a countywide thing, but if they could change our payroll and how we manage that, that'd be great.
Thank you.
In the 36 years, I've been involved with all kinds of prosecutors. Throughout the late 80s and early 90s, we had prosecutors that would overcharge, they had failed to do case assessment, and they just went hammer and tong and lost a lot. That frankly was good for me because I was winning a lot of cases on defense. But in the 2000s, we tended to level out, and in the last 4 years, I think we've slacked off where they're not hardly doing anything as far as prosecuting cases. I think the issue needs to be consistent, needs to be fair, and it needs to be impartial. And that's what I did for it.
To echo what John has said, the last 4 years, I get to see the other side, what's going on up in Ottawa County, what's happening down here. There is an issue. For instance, there was a defendant recently I had charged with a felony. I look at his Saline County cases, and they're only misdemeanors, and that's simply because the prosecutors assigned didn't look at his record. It was really clear these should have been felony matters. I don't know what has happened since Ms. Mitchell retired 4 years ago, but in the last 4 years, that office has really suffered. And that's one of the things I'd like to improve. The relationships between law enforcement agencies and the county attorney's office have been damaged, and whoever gets that office is going to have to work to rebuild that and rebuild the morale of these office staff.
Ms. Dawes, I know this is tough for you. You are currently in the position, but is there something you would like to improve upon in your office?
To me, that's one of the things that I take huge pride in, is there's always room for improvement in whatever we do. It doesn't matter if it's on the clerk side, because we deal with budgets, tax rolls, and things like that, or if it's on the side of the election. There is always, obviously, new legislation, new security things that we need to always build on. So that is something that I've done since I took over back in 2017. So I will continue to build those. I think I would love to be able to see more funding for us to be able to do more public outreach, because everything that we have right now is just to fund the statutory requirements. So I would like to do more public education and outreach to get that out there. But I have a tremendous crew in my office. I have wonderful election workers who work for me, and so thankful for that every year, and continue to build on the things that I've started, so.
This past week, I was able to receive my level 1 certification from the Kansas County Treasurers Association. One of the things our association has been advocating for the last 10 years, a lot more in the last 7, the tag office hasn't received a raise in what they are able to collect to manage operations in over 17 years. When you look back at your own expenses over the last 4 years and you look at how are we continuing to do that on those same dollars, the tag office is doing that off of 17 years ago's dollars. So our organization, our association has been focused, and I plan to continue to do the work of advocating for the tag office to getting those fees in line without raising those fees for the customer, but reallocating those dollars that the state already has in place to run the daily operations in the tag office and become more efficient for the taxpayer.
Getting my marching orders from the law. Thank you for those of you who have filled out questions, and please continue to do so. We'll continue to work through these as best we can. The next question is for those running for county attorney. There's been a headline that came across in the last couple of days. A governor in East Coast state issued a pardon for 175,000 offenders, low-level offenders, the majority of them being marijuana possession. Could you give your opinion on this decision that came forth? We'll start with Mr. Buck.
The governor was in Maryland, by the way. Currently, the law in Kansas is marijuana possession is illegal. This legislature hasn't chosen to change that. Maryland has. I don't think the governor, he can pardon, but the other part of pardoning is expunging the arrest and expunging the record. I just heard an interview with him this morning on the radio, and the pardon's there, but it's still an arrest. When you go to get a security background clearance or something, it's still going to be on the person's record. It's a political move. It is strictly a political move. He's trying to get votes. He's up for re-election.
It's a political move, and it's a stupid political move. The most recent example I can think of is Rudy Giuliani and no broken windows. And he cleaned up New York City because he attacked all these misdemeanor crimes, vandalisms, misdemeanor drug use, that kind of thing, and really cleaned up and made it safe to go into Times Square for different. That's why I don't want to live on the East Coast. They're running the place now with these kinds of dumb things to do.
All right, this is a question for the county commission candidates. If we can get microphones here. And we started going this way last time. We'll start with Mr. Sparks and move that way. This question says, Saline County citizens approved construction of a new jail. What social justice initiatives would you like to see undertaken at this new state-of-the-art building? Mr. Sparks.
Well, first, I want to thank the Brigade because, and a lot of other people I see here that did help get this proposal done and off the ground. And the new jail is a state-of-the-art. Sometimes I look at it and think it's too much. It's too high-tech. The thing about it is being on the board of Central Kansas Mental Health, that where they do have psychological help out there for people. And that's one of the biggest things I think the whole community is aware of now, that it's a social thing that we have going on, that we're trying to help with the drug abuse, everything that builds into that. The new jail has all of the area to take care of those needs.
It's an excellent question, and I referenced it some from my experience being on the jail committee from the beginning all the way through. Substance abuse, mental health services are a must, and they're designed to be in there. I don't know if they fully employed those people to be in there yet, but I do know that one of the ARPA grants, community corrections, we wrote prior to my leaving was to do a street responder. So a master's level, doctor level social worker rides along with PD or responds to PD to address mental illness in the street to try to avoid bringing them into the jail. So that is one thing that's going on with law enforcement, partnering with mental health prior to going to the jail. The other thing is job readiness. Teaching them to care for themselves, the hygiene and all those things that they didn't come in with that experience and they didn't get it while they were growing up. Cognitive behavior classes, those are must to teach us to react, that there is always going to be a consequence to your action no matter what you do. So those are things social justice show that the success of the offender will be higher once released.
I'm not sure I can add anything to the things that these two said, other than I can say that I was fortunate to tour the jail before it was open with the employees as a newly retired employee, and I was very impressed with the facilities that were made for the people who would come in to help, the mental health facilitators, and the accommodations being made for visitations that would make it safer for everyone, and so forth. So yes, there is always something to look forward to doing, but at this point, I think we're on the right track.
This next question is for Mr. Johnson. This question says, would you support removing Social Security payments from state income tax?
Yes, state Social Security should not be taxed. I think fixed income, people that are on fixed income that need it, we shouldn't be taxing that. If anything, we need to look at how to help people right now. I'm all about getting rid of unnecessary spending, but if you look at how much medicine as well as medical care has skyrocketed, we got to figure out what we can do to get the prices down on things for people that need that. And I don't, as far as the tax bill that was passed today, it's supposed to be signed by the governor, I think that did not do enough. That did not do enough, and it was largely politically influenced. And I think she did that to hurt Republicans seeking re-election and to take them off the campaign trail. I was glad to see taxes get cut some, but it should have been so much better.
Thank you. Again, I'm reading questions from the audience here, so it looks like there are many for some offices and very few for Register of Deeds. So you guys This question is for Mr. Buck, Mr. Richard Buck, and it simply says, why have you chosen to run for county attorney in Saline County and Ottawa County at the same time?
I initially entered the race. I entered the race down here basically to give a choice to the voters here. I also am very concerned about what's I'm seeing come across my desk that's influenced by what's happening in Saline County. At the time, Ottawa County, I didn't have an opponent until Mr. Evil filed. I went ahead and filed for re-election up there. I don't anticipate being able to carry off 2 counties at the same time. It is possible. I was just talking to a friend today that actually had been county attorney in 3 counties, but Ottawa County is definitely a full-time job, plus up there you also are the county counselor, so you're the civil attorney for the county. Here, you don't have to be the civil attorney, but running the Ottawa County Attorney's Office will be a full-time job. I will see what the voters choose on August 6th.
Mr. Reynolds, would you care to opine on that?
Well, he can run it for many offices if he wants to, we're not. I would point out this is an open seat. Anybody can run. I'm offering my services. I'm a hometown boy. I was born and raised in this town. It means a lot to me, especially for my family. I took my great-grandson and showed him his 5-time great-grandfather's grave the other day. He doesn't understand that, but the point is, I've got roots pretty deep around here myself, and I want to keep it that way.
Ms. Doss. I think this question is aimed towards you, so I'll ask it to you. Do you think there is voter fraud in Kansas elections? And if so, how bad do you think it is?
Now, so obviously, I'm in my 27th election. So I know some of the things that I've heard, some of the stuff, just like everyone else, what's happened in other states. The nice thing about Kansas is a lot of our laws were already put into place when COVID hit, because a lot of states didn't do mail ballots, so they didn't have those rules in place. Kansas had a lot of protections in that, and so I don't feel that in Kansas we have that. There is signature verification on many aspects throughout that. There is obviously a photo ID requirement when you go out to the polls, and I feel that our elections are very secure in Kansas. Like I said, I can only speak for ours.
Thank you. Let's do one for everybody. This is a wide open question here. Many polls have come out showing the demographic of voters who are getting involved in politics. The demographic age is getting lower and lower. This question says, how will you reach and respect the younger voter population? Let's start on this end, Tony. Mr. Newell, I'm sorry.
Tony's fine. I think getting out and being involved with the youth, we look at some of the vacancies that some of the folks retiring are creating, and how important it is that we continue to backfill as those folks retire. Becky and Jim have been with the county for many years. All three candidates to replace either of them are really new to the political scene, relatively younger than the other two. So I think it's important that we embrace that as we continue to elect new officials. But I also think it's important that as newly elected leaders in the county that we embrace that and do everything we can to get those younger folks involved.
Obviously, that's kind of my job most of the time. So I have worked, gone into schools and spoke with students. I go out to many schools and register 18-year-olds to vote. I worked with many teachers to get election workers to come out, students to work at our polls. And so I continue to do that on a regular basis. And, you know, I have grandchildren, not old enough to vote yet. Their oldest one's 6. But my kids are young. Like the first time my son could vote, he was 18, was the very first time that I was on the ballot. So I encouraged him to get out and hear about his candidates. And I'm hoping he voted for me. He wasn't grounded at the time, so I'm assuming he did. But that's just something I take pride in, because that wasn't a big thing when I was growing up in my family, and I want to make sure, like, my daughter, when she was in high school, she actually understood what precinct committee man and woman was in her class, and no one else did. She's technically been working for elections since she was 14, so, yep.
Thank you. Mr. Buck, the younger voter population.
To engage younger voters, we, as leaders and candidates, need to engage them where they're at. You know, Facebook, Twitter. I, in Ottawa County, have worked with both superintendents of schools. One of the things I'm very excited that we were able to implement this year through a cooperative interlocal agreement is we are finally getting a school resource officer in place in Ottawa County. And the cost sharing on that, I helped work with the sheriff, and the county's taking apart who each school district in our county is. I have spoken at the high schools, spoken even at the elementary. You have to engage the kids where they're at. And the kids that aren't currently in school, because we still have a truancy problem post-COVID, you have to get them engaged. If nothing else, we file a truancy case and get them in front of the court, and we talk to them, find out what's going on. We have to engage the younger generations where they're at.
Thank you. Mr. Reynolds.
You need to be a parent. You need to be fair, you need to be impartial, you need to be honest with them. When they ask you a question, you give them a straight answer. If their question is, how do I get by with it, you just let them have it. I've been speaking with junior high kids on up for the last 36 years, and those very issues. First time I gave a law day classes were North Junior High. And the only thing they wanted to know was about drinking and driving. So I let them have it. You know, you go out there and do this stuff, is what's gonna happen to you. Well, cops don't have time to screw around and mess with you if you're not doing something, but if you're doing it, they're gonna get you. So you just take it right to them, straight up, so they know what to expect.
Thank you. Ms. Moran,
Social media, that's a big one for kids, trying to get their attention. But also, as I said, I have a 10-year-old son, and they've heard my husband and I talking, him and his friends have heard us talking about this, me preparing for this. And they've asked questions, so we informed them as much as we could and how important it is to vote, because in the end, it's important. Jamie does at the election, you know, they have kids can vote on animals and stuff, and that's a great way to start them too.
Thank you. Ms. Newell?
Yep. Yeah, you just have to start them young when you're a parent. You just kind of teach your children what it means to have a right to vote. My kids are not little anymore, so my youngest that I deal with is 5, and he don't quite understand. But if I hear somebody out in public, or a younger person than me, you know, and they want to complain about something, it's like, well, you do have a right. You need to figure out who you know, connect with as far as, you know, who's going to represent you, and then you go out and you exercise that. Just kind of being a mentor and just kind of being a guide for kind of what you believe in, and helping them figure out what they would like to see in the future and who they can find, you know, that would mimic them. So I think, you know, education is a big thing on that. So.
Mr. Sparks, engaging the younger voters.
Well, being one of those. No, it'd be one of those things where it's, I can really relate to when my daughter was in 4-H. You know, and sitting there and helping her learn how to vote and how to run a meeting and all of that. It was one of those things where I really didn't even know what it was about until I was helping her read it and all that. And after being a commissioner, that's what I remember, you know, that there. But engaging with that younger demographics as a county commissioner is kind of like one of those things where, as a parent, yes, as a county commissioner, you can teach and learn, but it's like we're dealing more with the demographics of older people.
Thank you.
I'd say go where they are, be where they are, be available to them. I had the lucky, beautiful event with several young voters over the weekend that really got to talk about my ideas and the platforms, and got respective responses back for them. Some I agreed with, some I didn't, but I was honest with them and they were honest with me, and I appreciated that. I agree, social media. I have a very active political page. And when you look at the people that are responding that I know, they're very young. They're just out of high school and into that, starting to vote. So I think it is social media, but it's also being available to them and go where they are.
Thank you. Ms. Mullen?
As a former Girl Scout leader, Boy Scout leader, Sunday school teacher, you name it, I've probably done it. I think meeting the kids where they are, whatever needs they are, and certainly social media incorporates into it. If you talk to them all the time, they're going to talk to you about politics. If you don't talk to them, they're not going to talk to you. You just have to know to be there.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Thank you. A lot of good answers here tonight. But yes, engaging the younger generation, we got to go to where they're at. Social media, yes. My family is a 4-H family. I'm already around a lot, so we go to a lot of fairs. But bottom line, I'm going to earn the respect of the younger voters and younger generation by engaging the issues that have been hurting them. And set them back. I will not be politically correct. I will tell the truth with love. COVID-19 lockdowns were nonsense. Our leadership never let that happen. That's stepped over our individual rights and liberties and didn't follow the science. What's happening with human trafficking in our state, I will speak to that. That's definitely something most of the younger generation does care about. Our state is a sanctuary state for human trafficking right now, as well as what we call the abortion industry. And a lot of the younger generation cares about that more so than my generation did. Thank you.
Thank you. And hold on to that microphone, Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
We live in a very sports-centered area here where we are. Can Kansas taxpayers afford the tax incentives given to the Chiefs and Royals to incentivize them to move across the border to Kansas?
No, that is the last thing we should be concerned about. All right, the Chiefs are everybody's team on whether it's Nebraska, Missouri, Kansas, a lot of fans in Arkansas and everywhere else. They are where they're at. We don't need to bring them here. Beyond that, I think we need to push back against sports gambling and some other things that have been made legal. I don't know, the worst thing that ever happened to the Big 12, Big 8, Big 12, was when they split up Missouri and Kansas, or those rivalries, K-State, Missouri, Kansas. That was horrible. That lacked backbone, and I think we need to tell them about it. No, I think we can grow tax revenue without doing that, and the taxpayers should not have to pick that up. I've never agreed with that. All right.
Thank you. Let's move back to the county attorneys. You guys seem to be popular tonight. We'll see how popular you are in August. That was not part of the question.
Sure.
This question is about artificial intelligence in courts, with proceedings, with rulings. Are you in favor of artificial intelligence with rulings? And if so, explain. If not, why not?
I think it's a dangerous track right now. They don't have enough controls on artificial intelligence to keep things from working seamlessly. We've had lawyers being disbarred because they're using AI to write briefs and submit things to the court and give fictitious case facts. These things, because you have no control of what the AI is going to pick up. And until they can figure that part out, I'm not in favor, because it's not going to replace the human mind.
Thank you. Mr. Butler.
I find it frightening. Thomson Reuters, which is Westlaw, it's a research database that a lot of attorneys subscribe to. You pull your cases down because to buy the books and afford a library is very expensive. Today I got an email from them pushing what they call co-counsel, which is AI. They're pushing it out to government offices, trying to get us to sign up, and no. AI, you need the brain. There's a reason we go to school for the years we do the work that we put in to become lawyers. You need to. I mean, I had the experience today of an attorney and defense attorney and myself were entering a plea in front of a judge, and we had to explain to him how the law changed. AI wouldn't be able to do that. I don't think AI, if you fed the factors in, would be able to write something intelligent that the judge would understand. So, no AI.
Thank you. Let's change it up a little bit. This question will be by a raise of hand.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah, you only have 1 minute to raise your hand. Are you if you are in favor of defunding the police, would you raise your hand? Let's put it this way. If you are against defunding the police, would you raise your hand? Is that easy enough? That's saved us. Saved us right there. Let's go back to the county commissioners. And I believe I started with, who started last time? You started last time? Would you like to start this time, Ms. Malone Crouch?
And please just call me Kathleen.
Kathleen, I'm not allowed to do that. I got into trouble with Tony down there. County commissioner candidates, would you support a county-wide ban of restricted use pesticides, including Roundup, atrazine, and 2,4-D? And that may have meant herbicides on there.
I would endorse it because one of the jobs that I did for 8 of the 10 years I worked for the county was track harmful chemicals that are stored in Saline County, and it's very alarming. So I saw the statistics, and I don't think there's anything else I can say that would say more than that.
Thank you. Ms. Reed.
What I can say is, I believe what the science tells us about those products. I cannot say if I would or would not support a ban yet until I learn more and hear from others across the county, and for what those uses are exactly used. I mean, I do my own yard, but I don't go into fields, so I would be interested. But I certainly believe in the science and understand what those products do, and so I'm interested in learning more.
Thank you. Mr. Clark.
Well, I've actually lived in the county for 47 years, so I have actually worked with Roundup, 2,4-D, all those products for many years. So I would step back and say I could not support a ban on that at all, because our weed department sells it, a lot of it. And because the first time that you would ban it, then the people out there would start, the farmers, you'd have bindweed, you'd have all of these things that the state says that they are against the law to even have on your property, and some of these chemicals is what takes care of that. So you have to allow it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Let's go back to county attorney candidates. I told you you were popular. There's been much talk about recidivism and repeat incarceration in Saline County. I'm trying to word this correctly. The current county attorney seems to have a slap on the wrist policy. Where would you differ from his policy? Or how would you differ from his policy? And I believe Mr. Buck answered first last time. I'll allow Mr. Reynolds to answer first this time.
Well, I think there's accountability, period. Again, the Rudy Giuliani thing, you crack down on the little stuff and prevent the bigger stuff. So, and I understand Jeff didn't prosecute misdemeanor marijuana stuff. I think that's a huge mistake. I think because that's a gateway to everything else. I think you just stay right on it.
Is that microphone on?
Oh, well.
I heard you, but I don't know if anybody else.
That answer is the current county attorney, yes. My understanding is when he ran on not filing on trace cases, what we call residue. I file. I file on those. I see them through. If what we have since, and what we've had since, I think 1993, Mr. Reynolds can kind of correct me. I was still in high school, but they put in the Kansas sentencing guidelines. And those actually restrict what a judge can do as far as sentencing. So a person is scored A through I, and all crimes are scored on the felony levels from 1 to 10, and then there are off-grids. And what happens is, depending on what the person's prior history is what the judge can do. And that's part of what factors into that, but one of the things I've done over my 20-odd years is look at, there's certain misdemeanors that you can stack together to get them to a person felony, which actually makes it where you can incarcerate people. And sometimes you don't ease up on the little stuff, but use the little stuff so when they do mess up, you can actually do something.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, this question is very basic and for you. Do you support Medicaid expansion?
Thank you. I oppose Medicaid expansion, and I do so because everything I'm told about it is it will overwhelm our current medical system. All right, every doctor, small town practice I've talked to that I have respect for, they say it's going to crash it because just like when Obamacare, what it did for our medical care system, it overwhelmed it. It overwhelmed it, as well as insurance skyrocketed. It would be likely the same effect, but much greater. And those that need care the most, they will not be able to get the care because it'll be going to, more than likely, illegal aliens. It'll be going to fund things that are not medical care. And on top of that, it takes people out of the workforce, able-bodied people out of the workforce. If you put in a claim for Medicaid, Medicare, they will automatically give that to you until the claim has been investigated.
Thank you. Thank you. This is, I believe this question is aimed at all of the candidates tonight, so we'll start here with Mr. Newell on my left. And again, 1 minute for this answer. What is your moral compass in life?
Moral compass in life. Think God and country above all else, and integrity.
Thank you.
I don't know how you build on that, because I'm the same, and like I said, my entire family is in law enforcement on one way or another, and so that was just embedded in me. So yeah, I can see where God, country, and doing the right thing by the public and by our constituents and our voters, and making sure that, you know, I get their trust and I earn their trust in what I do.
Thank you.
I believe God, country, and family, and in the Constitution. And as county attorney, that's what I would follow.
Thank you.
You know, the Holy Bible and the United States Constitution, that's all you need.
I feel terrible for echoing, but God, family.
I can say ditto, but yes, God first, do the right thing every time.
Okay. Ditto, ditto, ditto. It is one of those things, and respect. I think you need respect for others, you respect for yourself, you respect for everything that God provided us. So I think respect is a major player in this situation.
I like that Roger added that in. I think that God, family, country are all, for all of us probably in this room, I think they're critical. I also think it's important that we care about our citizens in our community and that we provide safe environments and services for them. And I would say that for anywhere, but certainly Saline County needs those people that do respect and do care.
I agree with all of them, but I will add that I am the one that has to live with myself and be comfortable with decisions that I make. So I want to sleep at night, so I try to do the right thing.
Thank you. God's word, I believe that shapes our morals, and our morals shape our character. Character, George Washington said, is the #1 quality you need to look at for leadership. It's more important than experience. But those things. Now, if we want to fix our country, we need morals to be turned back to where they started at long ago. We need a moral revolution in our country. And I think the implications are spiritual. I respect everybody's faith, but you know, everybody's got to make a choice. And our liberties, religious liberty given to us in the First Amendment, that's the reason we have that. People got to choose for themselves. And the principles our country was built on, that's what made us what we are. We need to get back to that and make sure the government's standing up for these things. Thank you.
Amen.
Hold on to that microphone.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure how this will play into every office, but I think it's an important question, so I'm going to ask it just as it is written. What is your opinion on abortion?
I am absolutely opposed to abortion. And with that, as I said, my opponent, she made the claim she did, she's a long-time Kansas native. Well, you look at our country and our state was founded as a free state, and yet currently Kansas is a sanctuary for the death of the unborn as well as human trafficking. Those two things. Now, I'm a free stater. I'm a free stater like those who founded this state. And if you look at our Declaration of Independence, one of the #1 grievances was the king's slavery he was pushing on the colonies. All right, I stand against those things. I will stand for those rights, those liberties that made us great.
Okay. We'll go right down the line, Ms. Craft.
As a teacher, I saw small children who were severely abused. I heard parents say, I beat him and I beat him and I beat him, and it doesn't do any good. It's things like that that made me become pro-choice, because I think that if people had a choice not to produce a child in bad circumstances, we might have a lot less of the abuse going on.
I'm gonna echo Kathleen's comments. I watched community corrections, adults come in that were on probation that had 8, 9 kids, and would bring them all in. Some of them clothed, some of them not, some of them starving, some of them not. We would have to find places for them and house them. Our foster care system is busting at the seams. We're not taking care of that adequately. Our adult and children department services is not being taken care of adequately. And so I think that we have to have choice in women health care so that those children don't suffer like they are, because she's right, they do suffer terribly. And within our community alone, we have a large population.
Thank you. Mr. Spark?
I'll reiterate to that is like the pro-choice is, I think everybody has a choice to either get there or not. And I just want to say, I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Ms. Newell?
Well, in a perfect world, you know, we wouldn't have to have an option. But I am pro-choice. I do believe that women should have a choice in that decision.
Thank you. Ms. Maya,
It's a tough question, because listening to them, I mean, everybody deserves a choice, but so do those babies. I think adoption should be more affordable, so then maybe that could be better.
Thank you. Mr. Rowe?
Well, as prosecutors, I don't think we'd have much to say about that, because the Kansas Supreme Court has ruled that abortion is legal in Kansas. So we're kind of stuck with that. But on the other hand, as an academic and a doctorate level degree, I can read. And the Constitution of the United States is no person shall be denied life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. So where is the due process for the child?
Thank you. Mr. Buck?
I would concur with Mr. Reynolds on that, in addition to which, when I was in private practice, I served as basically the guardian ad litem for this judicial district, which is the attorney appointed to the child in the foster care system. From what I've seen, I've dealt with those cases from the start of the child being removed all the way through to the parents not getting their act together and having their rights terminated. The fact that an adoption privately filed in this county or any other would be at least $3,000 to $4,000 is insane. So we need to do something to fix that. It's not that hard of a process. If they're coming out of the state system, there's already a home study. You know, there should be a panel of attorneys that will do it pro bono. I did several.
Thank you. Ms. Collins?
Well, obviously, being a law enforcement child, I am one of those that I follow the law, and I follow the law to a T. So whether we agree with the law or we don't agree with the law, it is as it is in Kansas. I can only speak for myself. That is not something that I would choose to do. I don't think I could ever have an abortion myself, but I don't think that it's also my place to tell other people how they need to live their lives. So.
Thank you. Mr. Newell?
I'm pro-life. We were talking this morning, not this morning, but before the meeting. I believed and value them both. I still believe and value them both. I think that was, I was very disappointed when that didn't pass. That hurt me personally. We talked to friends and family about it. I really believe pro-life's the way to go. Pro-life.
Thank you. Let's go back to the county attorneys for a question here. With all the publicity around the trials of Donald Trump, how will you keep politics out of the courtroom? Mr. Buck, jump on that.
Well, first of all, I am a bit of a nerd. I pulled the jury instructions. I think he has a chance of appeal. I'll just say that. Yeah, small one. There's the big problem with that case. You have to. The county attorney's office, if you look at there are special ethical rules for prosecutors, and they state that we are ministers of justice. You know, it doesn't matter whether you are Democrat, Republican, Independent, or left wing. It doesn't matter. let's look at what the officer wrote up. Did the person break the law and pursue the law violation? There's no politics and needs to be in the county attorney's office. I quite frankly think it should be a nonpartisan office.
Thank you. Mr. Reynolds?
Yeah, criminal law is elemental. Every crime is made up of certain elements. And you must prove those individual elements, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever they might be, for that individual crime. So you either got the facts right or you don't. What happened in New York was strictly political, because they didn't have a crime to begin with, so they had to shoehorn something in that didn't exist in the second part and combine them together and then give some really crappy jury instructions to get to where they were going. I agree. I don't think it has much chance on appeal.
Well, let's build on that, fellas. And this may even be a part 2 to that question. Is there ever a time when it is acceptable to bring a case to trial where the evidence is thin, but the public wants a trial?
If there's a culpable case, you try it. Then let the jury make the decision. I have great confidence in juries. I may have disagreed with them a time or two, and you never have a clue what they're going to do, what little factor they're going to bite on. But I've tried cases. I was 2 years out of law school trying a rape ag sodomy case. I couldn't believe that they acquitted him across the board. 2 weeks later, I tried a drug case. I couldn't believe they convicted him. But there we go.
Thank you. Mr. Butler.
Part of going back to your minister of justice, if there's the facts that fit, you should bring the case and let the jury decide. I've been in Mr. Reynolds' shoes. I don't always agree with what the jury decides sometimes, and I've seen a Saline County jury do this. There's a thing called the felony murder rule. If somebody dies as a result of your felony actions, you can be tried for murder. They didn't convict the person of the underlying felony, but still found him guilty of felony murder. It was bizarre. There was like 3 felonies that they could have used, and they didn't pick one of them.
All right, county commissioners. I think we may have breached this topic at the beginning, but this citizen wants to know, what is Saline County's most pressing issue at this current time? Mr. Sparks, as you are in the commission, I'll begin with you.
Right now, it's the budget. I mean, I'm just going to say, our budget is, it's going to be hard to work with this year. I got to say, Philip Smith-Haynes has done a fabulous job of getting us to a point where either you go here, you go here, you go here, and even when you cannot afford this, here's the second choice. The second choice is still not there. So one of the biggest issues that we have is that where do you cut and where do you not? And so I still look at it as it's a major thing. We still have the health department, we still have the road and bridge, we still got a lot of things going on. We still got the expo center, we still got a lot of things going on everywhere. And I just want to say that the county would be hard to keep going if it wasn't for the great help and the department heads that we've got.
Thank you.
I'll take that as a compliment for your department head.
Well, that's
I think that the budget is always, I've been reading up, and Kathleen and I were talking, and I think that there's no way ever, and I've sat through 29 years of budget, that the county can fund everything you want. And they go through, and some county administrators nickeled and dimed budgets, and others were more restrictive and said, you know what, we're just not gonna be able to do this big project. And I think that that's smarter than nickeling and diming. Cutting hundreds here and hundreds there is not the way. But I agree, I don't want to ignore the health department and those other buildings that are deteriorating. And Commissioner Sparks mentioned, and I agree, we have strong, good county employees. They've always been caring and good employees since I can remember, and we don't want to continue to put them in buildings that are not safe to be in. So I think those are all wrapped into budget issues. I agree, but we need to look at those things.
Thank you.
I agree that the budget is the most important thing. I agree with everything that Ms. Grievous said, but I also recognize that if you cut out everything, if you just have the idea that we're just gonna stop it, we're not gonna spend, you're gonna put us further behind. That's what happened to the county before. That's why our road and bridge got in trouble, and they didn't have machinery, and they didn't have personnel. You have to plan, and you have to make every effort to find the money to do what needs to be done.
Part two of that question, guys. With the current state of the economy and inflation still being high, how do you balance the tax rate upon the county citizens and fulfilling the funding to all of the departments to which you are responsible?
Well, that's just part of the budget process that's gone through every year. You look at, as Ms. Grievous works with grants, you look at grants. I believe there's still some federal ARPA money left that the county is working with. So you have to go through the process of evaluating needs.
I agree, there are some more ARPA monies out there, and I think that Rosie Walter, Director Walter at the Senior Center is a prime example. She got a security system recently with ARPA funds, and she renegotiated her food plan over there. As I don't know if you know, but the Senior Center has just grown, almost tripled since she started as a director. She's a beautiful, beautiful person, and she cares about our senior citizens. So I think looking at those supplemental funds, there are federal resources out there for smaller communities, and we're a smaller community, and there are still some ARPA funds that are available. We just have to be aware of them and investigate and get people that are willing to spend some time writing those grants and looking for that supplemental funding.
Maybe Roger could do it.
I wish I knew how to write a grant. But that's the one thing is that we've talked and discussed for years about, you know, maybe that's the way the county needs to do is look at hiring a grant writer. Because almost every department, community corrections, where Ms. Grievous come from, was fabulous at writing grants. We have other departments, the health department writes grants, gets a lot of grants. And now the senior center, the expo needs to be writing grants, but it's like a lot of people are busy doing their job. They don't have time to write grants. And there's other issues I feel that in the budget process, it's tough to sit back and say, okay, we're going to cut here and cut there, but we know that you need the funds, but where are we going to get it? And that's, sometimes you just have to say, sorry, this is all we got.
Thank you. This next question is from Mr. Johnson. I have not vetted the details on this, so I'm going to ask the question and you can answer it how you see fit. Can you explain the 2 charges of animal cruelty you faced in 2022?
Yes, thank you. That came from an incident that happened in 2021. As I said, in response to those charges, I had charges against me. They were elevated during the campaign. All right. My response, I have a responsibility, both the responsibility and the right to defend my children and my private property. I thought those charges should not have been brought against me, and they were, and then they were elevated. And the end state of those is that they were completely dropped in 2023 with prejudice of ever bringing them up again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this would be a common sense answer, so you'll have a minute to answer it, but enjoy this one. If elected, will you support your oath, respect and follow the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights, believing the country is a constitutional republic? And we'll start here on this end.
I do believe our nation is a constitutional republic, and I will stand by my oath that I swore when I became a soldier. I've never rescinded that oath, and we need leaders that do such as that. That's part of the problem we have. Now, As far as our elected leaders, some of them talk about reaching across the aisle. I've heard that all my life. Far too often, they leap over the aisle to get to the other side. I will stand on principles and the principles that made this nation what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ferris.
I have a one-word answer, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll use the same word, absolutely.
No, don't use it. Roger, come up with your own.
Yes. I made the oath 8 years ago as a county commissioner being sworn in, and we have state statutes, we have a whole lot of other things that go along with the Constitution, and yes, I try and do my best.
Thank you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, and everything I do is statutory, so everything is in law as it is, and I was sworn in 27 years ago and continue to be so.
Yes.
It could have been one of those raise your hand.
You might have those next time. Once again to the county commissioners, and then following this question, I believe it's about time for closing statements. So we'll give this last question to the county commissioners. There is much development taking place down South Ohio around Schilling. Would you be in favor of continuing the pavement on Schilling Road in between the two new developments, or turning that over to the city to pave that road? That's already been. That has already been determined between the city and the county, which when it has city property, when the city annexes it on both sides of a county road, it's almost required by the city to take it over. And so there's certain things going on right now with that road that it's like, I think it's on somebody else's department to make those decisions, but it's going to have to be done. And whether the other question and the other problem that we have is just like some other things going on around in the county with the roads right now, where you have the heavy truck traffic that these roads weren't designed for way back in those days. These roads, whether they pull out on Ohio from the sand pit now, when they come out, some of these roads we do have truck traffic in Ohio to Waterwell out to the city landfill. Those are roads that were built for the heavy truck traffic. Thank you.
I'm gonna trust Roger. Please don't write that down, anybody. When he says that it's already in the works and that sounds like those are the city's responsibilities, that the city will do that. I know from my experience of sitting in plenty of commissioner meetings that there was lots of discussions, who's responsible, county or city, and lots of committee closed door meetings that we weren't privy to, that whose responsibility is it. So a government doesn't always work in the most clear, concise way. We know that, right? So one of the things I did learn was that all those roads that are very, very old and the bridges can't withstand what's going on. And to me, that sounds like that's county responsibility, and we need to make those safe.
Thank you. Sure.
Having worked in the planning and zoning department, I am here to tell you that Roger is absolutely correct. I watched people come to our office applying for building permits, and the county told them, well, I was the first one who told them you cannot do that. This is what our policy said. And so they went to the city, and the city said, yeah, we'll annex you and we'll take care of the rents.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you. I am going to, for sake of time, we're going to change the closing statements to 2 minutes. I don't think that'll be a problem for some of you. For others, I'm not looking at anybody. But let's have 2-minute closing statements. We started on this end with opening statements. Let's start with Mr. Johnson for your closing statements. And Mr. Johnson, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Well, as I said, I stand for America. I stand for the Constitution. I can't stand for our liberties, property rights, a shit of happiness, a common sense, common economic sense, common fuel policy, like this common sense fuel policy, all these things. Now, I'm a free stater. I am free stater. All right? Understand, I stepped into the race in 2022 and this year because people asked me to, and nobody else would jump in against Susan Kincaid. She made some bad votes on some issues concerning transgender surgeries and counseling, as well as undisciplined government spending. All right. Tax bills that wasted a lot of money that didn't really help Kansas. All right. Didn't really help this community as much as that money showed. I stepped into that. Nobody else did. And I did this year. And Susan Kincaid dropped out. My opponent dropped dead. All right. I'm just going to say I stood for free state rights. I'm not sure that she would. All right. If you would evaluate her voting record as a county commissioner, I would look very closely at that and see if she really stood for agribusiness as she says. I do stand for the farmer. I am a part-time farmer, I guess you can say. But I will stand for agribusiness. I will stand for the rights of the citizen. And if you know some of the people that supported my opponent, Susan Kincaid, will support hers. All right. I will stand, as I've said, for everything this flag represents. And the first bill that I want to introduce is a ban, Timon, of the burning of the U.S. flag. Taking aside. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Ms. Kathleen Malone Proud.
My name tag just still walks on. Has happened. It's so.
We know who you are.
Well, I guess I would just add that I'm a mother and a grandmother and a bonus mom. I have kids in Salina, in Lindsborg, and in Oklahoma. Oh, and I'm in Nebraska too. I tend to love Salina and Saline County, and the years that I worked for Saline County, I really learned to believe in it and think that it's important that you support our county government. And somebody else said something about county government earlier about not being sure that everyone understands how important it is. But if you live here, if you're in Salina, you're part of the county. We need to take care of it.
Thank you. That's great.
I agree. I've lived here 37 years. I met my husband, Bill. We raised two great kids, and we've been active in the community the whole time. We remain active, and we'll continue to do that. I think that it's important. We've had a lot of good discussion about budget and things that the county can continue to work on. I'm excited to be a part of that. I worked for the county for 35 years, stepped away, and now want to come back in and do some more work along and carry that message along. I think that our employees are the backbone of everything that happens, and the way they continue to collaborate with other departments. We collaborated with departments across the board all the time with a desire to serve the county in the best means. And I want to be a part of that. And I think my leadership skills from local to state government speak for themselves. So, but thanks for doing this. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. It's fun.
I want to thank everyone for showing up this evening. This is a whole lot bigger crowd than I would anticipate, and appreciate the chance to come here. And I'm glad that Rosemary let me come in because I didn't sign up for this. But anyway, I just want to say, when I moved to Salina 54 years ago, it's like 53 years ago, it was one of those things where I thought this was a beautiful town, and it still is. I couldn't believe the empty spaces. We had 2 drive-in theaters back then, and roughly the whole south end of Salina was empty. I mean, it's amazing to see the growth of Salina and Saline County over the years. Being in business since 1981 and watching and dealing with Saline County, city of Salina, of how many different administrators, appraisers, all the different road and bridge expertises we've had out there. It's neat to see the growth of Saline County and the professionalism that is here in this community. It's from all the different businesses that are in this town. It's a gem. It's a gem of a place. Thank you. There's no.
Well, I just want to thank you, everybody, for listening to me mumble. The only thing I can tell you is I'll just continue to build what our previous Register of Deeds has done, continue to look ways to improve our efficiencies, just work hard to do it, learn everything that I can, and just do a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Miranda. Drop down. Go ahead.
I appreciate you all welcoming us here tonight. And as I previously, last week it was mentioned that our position is just a clerical position. And I just wanted to point out that it is more than that. We have to follow statutes and laws and requirements. And so if something happens in the office that's a bad recording or something, it falls back on the register. So this is me standing here saying that I'm willing to accept that responsibility.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Reynolds.
Well, once again, thank you. Ours is an open seat. Mr. Buck and I both have a lot of experience. We offer a lot to both of you. He's trying to expand that to the entire district as opposed to just to Saline County. And the third candidate in this race who's not here tonight is just 2 years out of law school. So I think that's the choice that the voter get to make. This is a job interview as far as I'm concerned. It's up to you to figure out which one of us will do a better job. I would appreciate you both. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Buck.
First, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for showing up. As Mr. Rolfe says, this is an open seat. It is a job interview. One of the reasons I did get in the race is I realized that Sia, who is the third person running for this office, does have just 2 years experience. But from what I understand, she's learning trial by fire because a lot of the cases are getting up to her desk. I don't want to run the office that way. One of the reasons I'm running is I have concerns about what I'm seeking. So I ask that you make a choice and hope you pick me, and I'll ask for your vote on August 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Ms. Dahl.
So, in the 27 years that I've been there, I have grown. Actually, I started as a receptionist in the appraiser's office, and I moved to do personal property, and I moved to do real estate, and then I took over the deputy county clerk's job. So I worked with every office within the county, and have learned from some great people that I worked under. And so I continue to build relationships throughout the county with the treasurer's office, and continue with our association. I'm on national committees. I am the incoming treasurer for our state association. And I take pride in those relationships, and I take pride in the relationships that I have with my election workers, with all of the community members that help us out every day, because I can't make elections happen on my own. It takes probably a couple hundred people on top of all the voters that come out every day, or on election day. So I take pride in that, and I can't imagine doing anything else. And so I would appreciate your vote in August. I'm not out of the clear just because I don't have opposition. There is still time for a write-in campaign or an independent candidate to file for office, but I would ask for your support and your vote, and I would like to continue to build trust in elections and in our county.
Thank you. Mr. Newell.
Look, thank you all for coming out this afternoon, this evening.
And how was our procedure?
If elected, I plan to continue the good work that Jim Du Bois has done, growing idle funds. He's been a great advocate for reducing costs, whether that's advocating for a change in county newspaper from Salina Journals at 311 to advocating for the tag office. I feel like he's done a lot of great things, but in reducing fees in the tag office and working to reduce costs to the taxpayer, that job is never ending. If elected as your treasurer, my goal is to continue working towards that, and I would appreciate your vote.
Let's give a big hand to all of our candidates here tonight.
While they were answering questions, we had somebody that came in tonight. Representative Scott Hill is here in the back. I'm going to ask you to come forward, Representative, please. Black, you know what he's going to say? He asked if he could give an update on the session today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Can everybody hear him? If not, there's a mic.
You will be able to hear me. I will make sure. First of all, it is awesome that the grannies put this on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And really, this whole process is such a special part of our country. And I know sometimes it's really hard to sit up here and field the questions and have the people that you're running against sitting right next to you, and you're trying to establish a difference between you, and that's always a challenge. I will tell you, I do not have an opponent this year, and I do not represent Saline County. I represent Dickinson County, so I'm a freeloader here. But and I apologize for being late, but we had a full day in Topeka today, and was mentioned earlier, we did pass a watered-down miniature version of our tax reduction package. But the one thing, and the question, I don't know who asked the question about Social Security taxes. Social Security taxes on income tax on Social Security income are gone. It's assuming our trustworthy governor signs it. She says she will. Okay, so that is one really good thing that came out of today. The second thing I want to talk to you just a moment about, and I know you guys have been sitting here a long time, okay, but something happened today in Topeka that I think really illustrates the challenges that we have in government, whether it's in Saline County, whether it's in Topeka, or whether it's in Washington, D.C. And we had a bill that was before us that was glitzy as all get out, right? Bring the Chiefs and the Royals to Kansas. We're tired of Missouri claiming them. They need to be ours. And the bill was billed as, this will not cost us anything. Sure, I'm good at it. That should have been the first clue right there. And what I would encourage each of the candidates up here and each of the candidates throughout the United States to think about, what are my principles? Now, when we talked about morality, where does your morality come from? A lot of people mention the U.S. Constitution and things like that. Okay, explain to me, in the U.S. Constitution, where the principle of taxing the public and then collecting that money and giving it to an entity is in our Constitution. And we had a group of conservative legislators, self-proclaimed conservative legislators that believe in the Constitution, that stood up there today and voted to do just that. And I will say that there were 82 Republicans, many of them what I would consider very conservative colleagues, that because of the 38 lobbyists that have been hounding us for 2 weeks, caved in and said, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I will guarantee you that it is never a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take taxpayers' money and spend it unwisely. And I am mad at a lot of my colleagues that they didn't stand on principle and say, I love the Chiefs, and I do. I'm a huge Chiefs fan. There's some red blood in my veins. I love the Royals. I go to a lot of Royals games. I've loved the Royals when they were terrible. I've loved them when they were great. Love is a strong term. I have great devotion to the Royals. Do I think that we should take
tax money from Wyandotte County, one of the poorest counties in the state, and accumulate it together and give it to them and say, please build a stadium in Kansas. The business model that was put forth today and passed guarantees at least $1 billion. Think about that, $1 billion. There's 3 million of us in Kansas, and we have guaranteed over $300 per man, woman, and child from every person in this state to be given to one entity just so that we can cheer for a team. We need to think about what's wrong in this country. And we need to think about why it is that we pass double-digit increases in budgets every year. County commissioners here. You know, think about it, because it starts there, and then it goes to the state level. And we have people come in and they say, we have to have this. We have to have this. I've heard it. The sheriff's same thing. Big bucks. We have to have this money. No, you don't. When I'm a farmer, and when the crop prices go down, when the yields go down, when the stupid little pill bugs, do you even know what a pill bug is? This last week, I had to replant all of my soybeans because for some reason this year, pill bugs are extra abundant and they ate every one of my soybeans. So when that happens, I don't say to the taxpayer, oh, I need a double-digit increase. Yeah. We need to learn to live within our budgets. We need to live within our budgets in the cities. We need to live within our budgets in the counties. And we sure as heck need to live within our budgets in Topeka. My hope is that the next legislative session, we take a serious look at how we control spending in our state. And I will tell you, this is a nonpartisan issue. One of the strongest proponents for reducing the budget in the state has a D by his name. And I consider him a very good friend. And I will tell you that some of the people that want to spend the most money have an R by their name. And so this needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen, we're going to look a whole lot more like China than the United States of America, where we believe in freedom, we believe in entrepreneurship, and we believe in our rights. Thank you so much for listening to me rant.
That's what feels like fun, isn't it?
And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Representative Phil, for that update. And I noticed while he was passionate, Sarah Lee didn't put a timer on him at all. Well, we're going to stop that in the middle. Thank you to the Candiate Brigade for putting this on tonight. I think it was a beautiful time. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you to the candidates. Do your research. Primary is coming up on August the 6th, so make sure you do your research. If you're able to, you can pick up the chairs. They will go on the chair rack just behind Rosemary over there. Thank you all for attending. Have a great evening.
Some of the candidates did bring some yard signs. So some of the candidates did bring some yard signs. So if you know you want to support one some of their yard signs, feel free to take a picture. And if you didn't contribute to our little donation, rains are poor, we don't have money to wait for our building, so we ask for donations. Thank you. Yeah.